Hi, beautiful human. Welcome back to this week's energy weather report. If you have been feeling like life has been testing your timing lately, slowing things down, throwing you curveballs, or making you sit with lessons you thought you already learned, this one is for you. We just moved out of a cycle that was all about responsibility, care, and divine timing, and now we're stepping into something deeper: truth and blessings. The kind of truth that asks you to face what's real, not just what's comfortable. The kind of blessing that only shows up when you finally slow down long enough to feel it. So take a breath, get cozy, and let's talk about how this week's energy is guiding you back into self trust and what it's teaching us about slowing down long enough to really feel our blessings. Last week was the kind of energy that humbles you. We were in 28 and 27, the gate of the game player, the risk taker, and this theme of nurturing and accountability. And so that kind of energy can sometimes show up, or at least for me, it did, as a calendar full of everyone else's needs and a body quietly whispering, "What about me?" It was about timing. It was, mm, how do I want to say this? It was about timing, that wholly frustrating, inconvenient timing. Like, for example, getting to the eye appointment on time, only to sit in a waiting room for 30 minutes after rushing myself and Taylor. Like making a parfait in a rush because I didn't want to be the late mom. Like waking up in pain and realizing the universe would keep rerouting me until I stopped moving from obligation instead of intuition. The lesson that came through for me last week, it wasn't in the appointments or the errands. It was in the moments where I tried to move faster than life wanted me to. And that's the medicine of the combo of 28 in our sun and 27 in our earth. That's what they were trying to hand me and you. And that is that your care for others loses its power when it doesn't include you. And so, a reflection question that I want to leave you with moving forward as we navigate out of this energy into that truth and blessings that I was talking about. Where did I trade my peace for punctuality? Now, this week brings the mirror. Truth is stepping in like a friend who loves you enough to call you out. Gate 44 brings flashbacks, the moments that make you say, damn, am I really still dealing with this? And it has you question what patterns are still running the show. And gate 24, right in that earth, slides in right behind it saying, yes, but look how different you are now. Can you rewrite them into blessings? You might feel this tug between fear and faith, the urge to over explain, to over plan, to overdo. And then something small and sometimes ridiculous happens, like finding a slug in your straw before coffee. And suddenly the metaphor is crystal clear. You can do everything right and still be handed something unexpected, not as punishment, but as a reminder to slow the hell down. That slug, I realized, wasn't there to disgust me. It was there to show me how quickly your mind makes meaning and how easily you can choose a softer one. It's the same way we learn self trust. not through the easy mornings, but through the ones that make us pause, rinse our mouths, rinse our minds, and keep moving anyway. The truth isn't always glamorous, but it is always liberating. And blessings, they're often disguised as the exact thing we wanted to avoid. Unpacking this sun energy a little bit more, gate 44, the gate of truth, it shines a light on the echoes of your past. It's the pattern that keeps showing up in new clothes, different people, same lesson. It's that moment you hear the familiar voice of self-doubt creeping in, saying, "What if it's happening again?" In the shadow, this energy has you side-eyeing your own progress, questioning if you've really grown. But the gift, it's all awareness. You notice the pattern, and instead of tightening your jaw or explaining yourself again, you breathe. You trust that the body knows what truth feels like, especially when it's steady, it's quiet, it's that unmistakable feeling of how it lands in your body. How does truth land in your body? I'm going to leave you with some reflection questions to help you process this gate 44 energy because it's a juicy one, especially with the energy that we were navigating out of, where there might have been some shadows of overgiving, over caring, over planning. The first is, where am I replaying a story that's ready to end? Secondly, what truth am I finally brave enough to live instead of just speak? And lastly, how is my body signaling when something's real versus just recycled fear? Helping you with that processing of the energy is our Earth Gate 24, the gate of blessings. If the sun brings the pattern, the earth brings the grounding. Gate 24 whispers, slow down and think again, but softer this time. This is the energy of mental looping. It is located in our ajna. And when your brain, it feels like when your brain keeps revisiting that same thing, and you find yourself often saying, I'm still trying to figure it out. You might find yourself analyzing, replaying, justifying. And here's a really important reframe. When your mind spirals, it's not failure, it's an invitation to pause long enough to find the blessing underneath all of the noise, all of that distracting noise. For me, that looked like realizing that the slug wasn't a horror story. It was a mindfulness bell. It reminded me that even the weirdest, most uncomfortable moments can be holy if I let them slow me down enough to realize the blessing. And so, if you have any moments like that where it was like, I can't believe this happened to me, and it caused you to slow down, I want you to process that slowdown. And I'm going to invite you to feel into a few questions. So the first is, what story am I defending that's no longer serving me? The second question is, how can I turn today's inconvenience into gratitude? And lastly, what would it feel like to actually allow the blessings that are already here? Sometimes those stories that we tell ourselves block us from seeing what we already have. I have 5 quick things that are going to help this week. The first is slow rituals, drinking water, stretching, breathing. Let the body lead the mind. Second, presence before productivity. Start the day with you, not your to-do list. What is your soul? What is your body calling you into that your mind is trying to overcomplicate or overdo with planning and constant tinkering, we'll call it. Number 3, rewrite the loop. Rewriting the loop is going to seriously help you this week. Noticing a repeating story and choosing, because we have that choice with awareness, of course, when we catch it, to give that story a kinder ending. Number 4, gentle movement. Moving the energy through your body instead of arguing with it. This is actually something that I was trying out last week, and I'm glad that I'm bringing this up because it's a reminder. I told myself that whenever I caught myself in a limiting belief or a limiting story, I would do some form of physical exercise. My go-to was squats for a good portion of last week. And I was like, man, if I catch every time this inner critic comes up with squats, my booty's gonna be popping. So what could that be for you? What kind of gentle movement can you do to move the energy through your body to interrupt that pattern? And lastly, truth talk is going to help this week. Speaking the honest thing, even if your voice shakes. Now, as usual, I give you some things to help with this week. And these are some things that are going to be just on your radar as what might trip you up. When you feel yourself falling into one of these 5 patterns or ways of thinking, I want you to use that as a signal to choose something that's going to help you this week. So the first one is forcing timing, rushing because others expect you to. If it is not rooted in, this is something that kind of came from my root center work. If it is not rooted in a place of joy or stillness, then you need to reevaluate if that is something that is for you or for someone else. The second thing that might trip you up this week are those mind loops. We literally have a gate activated in the ajna right now. And so those mind loops can cause you to obsess over why instead of what is. Changing the questioning that happens when you're in those mental loops of why this, why me, why that, can be so empowering to looking at what's possible from this. Literally changing the question helps to reprogram the mind. Thirdly, avoiding your body. Ignoring any sort of tension is going to trip you up this week. Ignoring your intuition, because we know that our intuition speaks to us in whispers. And a lot of times it doesn't repeat itself. It just starts taking action. And that fatigue, paying attention to fatigue is going to be huge. Anytime that we avoid our body, the body keeps score. There's literally a book all about how the body keeps score. So the more that we can use these, as I was saying, as an invitation to see what the deeper meaning is behind those things, the more in alignment and in harmony will come into what is true for us. This week is all about truth. The fourth thing that might trip you up this week, settling for familiarity, choosing comfort over self-trust. And lastly, spiritual bypassing. A lot of people have been using that in spiritual circles, and I want to just name that spiritual bypassing for me is simply skipping the messy middle where truth actually lives. So many times we want to just get there, quote unquote, whatever there is, whatever that point is. And there's so much wisdom, so much beauty, sacredness. Like I can create an endless list of adjectives, I'm sure. There's so much richness in that messy middle that if we skip and we're just only focused on the outcome, we miss it. It sounded like, I don't know if last week was resonating more with the slowing down piece or if it was this week. Like, I know you had to slow down today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I had to slow down today. I had to slow down this weekend because the computer was literally working at a snail's pace. And so it was, and I've had a lot of anxiety around getting my business off the ground in a way that is appropriate and, or quote unquote, appropriate.
Hmm.
And that's all around externalized expectations, like other people's, and not all, because of course I do want to be financially successful and all of those things, be able to care for my family and but my computer literally on its way to crashing this weekend, I could not keep moving. And I felt this pressure because, oh my God, my girls are going to be back. I only have today, blah, blah, blah. But the computer wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Literally would not work.
Yeah.
And in the moment, I kept pushing and I kept going, but it just kept taking longer.
Yeah. Isn't that fascinating how like we're so on autopilot sometimes that like we think, oh, it's just not working because I need to push harder. And it's like if we just took a moment to be like, maybe there's a reason I'm supposed to slow down right now.
Yeah.
I want I wonder what that could be. Oh, do I need to breathe? And just literally doing like a body scan of like, oh, when did my neck and shoulders get up to my ears? I don't know. Maybe I just need to take a breath. That's literally the farthest thing from our head sometimes, or for me, I feel like I'll take a breath, but it feels sometimes more like a performative breath for my mind because my mind will say it like you know how your mind will say things with like sass sometimes like it'll speak to you clearly and it'll be like oh yeah that's a good idea but then sometimes it's like oh well right it's like got some sass to it and it was like why don't you just breathe and I was like and then I kept trying to push forward because I was like mind.
Mind. And I honestly didn't even realize it in the moment. It wasn't until the next day that I was like, huh, why don't I just like let it be? And the next day I did. I did. I eased into my morning. I reached out to the person I was supposed to deliver something to because it was an arbitrary deadline. It was the deadline I set for myself. Not there was not something pressing that needed to happen. Well, I guess a little bit. She did. She was anxious, and a part of me wanted to ease that, and so I eased it for myself too that morning, and I took my time to make it make sense, and I didn't try to rush through what I put together because I needed it to make sense to me before I shared it. Um, and I was happy with what I shared. Does it need improvements? Of course. It's first draft. It's the first time. Now it gets to exist.
Yeah.
It gets to be. Now it gets to interact with others in a way that allows me to be empowered and sit in my power and in my expertise and accept the confidence in that and embrace it and give it a little bit of a hug because it gets to be in the world and it feels good. It feels good to not be holding my baby to myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's already opportunity to grow it. I got immediate feedback and it's nice. It's just nice. And there's going to be a way to build from that. And I can't, I'm so thankful for that slowdown because I needed it. I needed it. I needed sleep.
Hmm.
I needed rest. Oh, instead of spending 8 hours trying to make it happen, I should have just watched a Netflix show because I had been working my butt off all week long. Um, but it was nice to, when I finally embraced what it was trying to tell me, it was nice to just let it and then let the day unfold the way it needed to be. Um, Man, human design is powerful.
The awareness is powerful. Like, it's one of those things where human design is a tool to help you get into your awareness, to help you recognize the things that your body is signaling you. Like for you as a projector, when you start to feel that bitterness creeping in of like, why am I like, what's what's the point? I feel like bitterness is sometimes synonymous with like purposelessness or like even totality. And it's one of those things where if you feel like if you know that to be a signal in your body, the same with gene keys, and they talk about like the different vibrations. Like if you know that to be a signal in your body, instead of making yourself wrong for feeling that way or making yourself wrong or I'm not doing enough, really just take a moment and be like, wait, hold on, what is my body telling me right now? And like starting there instead of the mind will just try and make you do a bunch of stuff. And at the end of all the stuff that you did, like you're even more stressed or bitter, or for me, frustrated because I'm a generator and the not self theme is frustration. I know if I'm feeling frustrated about something, that is a sign to pause.
I was so mad at that computer.
All types of name calling and
Yeah.
but hindsight is always 2020, and I love that in bringing our brains the evidence of what awareness can do and recognizing even hindsight in this moment I could have and rewriting some of those patterns, like we're doing the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not just letting it bypass us, which is really important.
Yep. And the only way to see the other side is to do that work, is to embrace that messy middle, is to let it be and let it develop into what it's meant to be.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you, Diamond.
So this week is, we'll call it sacred and messy all at once. The universe isn't trying to trip you up. It's trying to wake you up. Every test, every delay, every weird little inconvenience is just a mirror reflecting how much self-trust you've built. You're learning to meet life where it is, not where you planned it to be. You're learning to slow down enough to feel your blessings because they rarely show up on schedule. So when truth surprises you this week, don't flinch. When blessings show up dressed like inconvenience, don't look away. Breathe. Laugh if you can. And remember, the moments that test your self trust are the same ones that prove it's real. Your gentle challenge for the week is to slow down long enough to feel your blessings. They're not hiding, you're just moving too fast to notice. If this week's message hit home, if you've been feeling those tests of self trust or noticing old patterns creeping back in, I'd love to hold space for you and explore what this season is really asking of you. You can book a clarity call with me. It's a sacred 60-minute session where we look at your unique energy, your current patterns, and the truth that's trying to emerge for you right now. Whether you're navigating a personal pivot, business growth, or just learning how to trust your own timing again, this is your space to reconnect with your inner guidance and create clarity from the inside out. The link is in the show notes. Go ahead and book your clarity call today, and let's walk this next part of your journey together. Until next time, remember, Slow down long enough to feel your blessings. They're waiting for you to notice them.